Good morning, all. This is Anushri from People Matters, and we are back with another exciting session of a webcast in partnership with Amazon Pay gift cards on the topic Employer Expectations versus Employer Needs, how to strike an effective balance. So, before we move to our agenda of the day, let me give you a brief about the topic. So, how do we strike an effective balance between employer expectations versus employer rewards? Motivated and engaged employees are critical to the success of a company. So according to a survey by Gallup, only 13% of Indian workers are engaged. If companies want to attract the best talent and keep their workforce engaged, they need to understand employee expectations and make sure their interventions are aligned with their needs. Given this context, what should HR and business leaders focus on to make their R&R strategy effective? In this webcast, you will learn about the latest trends in R&R programs, data-based insights on what employees want, and organizational perspective on customization and costing types of R&R and best practices. So now let me introduce you all to our speakers of this webcast. So we have the privilege of having with us Nanjappa BS, Vice President, Human Resources, Infosys Limited. Nanjappa's career as a human resource professional spans 16 years and covers multiple cornerstones of people management, such as recruitment, employee relations, business HR, organizational development, grievance management, and HR strategic programs. In his current role, Nanjappa is responsible for leading HR for enabling functions, leading HR in the US, APAC, and LATAM region, and driving key organizational wide initiatives. We also have with us Mohammed Imtiaz, Head Business Development, Amazon Pay Gift Cards. Mohammed Imtiaz has over 12 years of experience in business development and key account management of digital payments and e-commerce services at Amazon and Yahoo. He has a significant expertise in conceptualizing and implementing competitive sales programs to increase product awareness and enhance business growth. Our partners for today's webcast is Amazon Pay Gift Cards. Amazon Pay Gift Cards is the digital payment division of Amazon India. Amazon Pay Gift Cards offers customers an easy and convenient way of gifting their employees and partners. With Amazon Pay Gift Cards, customer can shop cashless and enjoy fast and easy checkouts with a secure shopping experience. We have saved time for all of you to ask your questions at the end of the webcast. For those who are live, can simply submit post questions at any time during the session. We'll try to respond to as many questions as time allows. So we have an exciting topic to discuss in this webcast. So without any further delay, let me invite Imtiaz to take over. Over to you, Imtiaz.
Thank you so much for Anushri for that introduction, and really glad to share this webcast with our colleague here, Nanjappa, and thanks for giving us this opportunity. And thanks to the entire audience for taking out time and joining the webcast. As Anushri set the context, we will specifically talk about employee rewards and recognition. What are the trends that we see? And Infosys being one of the largest employer in India, and Nanjappa being the head of employee engagement at Infosys, we try and learn more about what are some of the learnings that he has had and what are the initiatives that he's doing. And I will probably share some of the programs that we have implemented in corporates and what are some of the learnings that we have and from some of the surveys that we have done. So thanks for that. Nanjappa, do you want to quickly start with a brief intro while Anushri has given us the intro? And probably we can start off talking about like, what are the key trends that do you see from a rewards and recognition perspective from the industry as well as Infosys in particular?
Thanks, Imtiaz. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So thank you so much. It's awesome to be here. Happy Ganesha Festival to everyone. Tomorrow's a holiday, so maybe it's a good time to kind of hang out at this forum. I look at this as a collaborative forum where we could share information and knowledge. Obviously, it gets everyone better over time. So I'm happy to get feedback and information from the participants as well, and I'll share some of mine as well so that everyone kind of benefits. Um, this is a very huge topic, so it's hard to kind of put this into scope this in 1 hour. But I will try and give my experiences and some kind of perspective around what we've been doing. But having said that, rewards have obviously evolved over time. I'm reminded of what Napoleon said many years ago. The soldiers work hard because they the color of the medal matters to them most. So it starts as early as 17th or 18th century. I'm a big fan of the Olympics, and a big part of why people did well at the Olympics was the recognition that they received after, and there's a whole sense of fulfillment and accomplishment and all that. And all of these things are important. So let's understand the fundamentals. Why rewards and recognitions in an organization have to be aligned to the value system and vision of the company. It cannot be in isolation, and it has to talk to your processes and policies. That's fundamental. The second is we have to understand the context of the workforce. I've been here about 16 years, and the workforce profile has changed over time, and needs change over time. So all of what we do have to be suited to the profile of the workforce. Three, the disruptions that are happening around us, both business and technology. And of course, the formats of some of these have changed. So it's very, very important to understand the baseline. Second, from a questions point of view, there are few questions that we need to ask, and fundamentally we've been trying to do that internally. For example, why should recognition reward follow an activity? Why can't it be before an activity? So the big question is, do we do it before or do we do it after? Should it focus on outcomes or should it focus on the effort? Should we focus on the design part of it or should we focus on the execution part of it? Because many times we fail in the design, sometimes we fail. So, what's important? Should the focus be on team or should it be on the individual? Because both are important in some circumstances. One of them comes into play and brings the better ROI. So these and my mind, the most important thing is should we recognize and celebrate success or failure? Because failure is an integral part of everyone's journey, and so why should recognition and reward just be for success? So these are some fundamental questions that one needs to ask before we can put some of these things together. And we benefited by asking some of these design principles around recognition. Some of the things that we've seen around definitely has been the personalization aspect. One size doesn't fit anyone, so we've been able to make it a lot more personal in nature. That's benefited us tremendously. Choices is another big aspect of this because we have to have flurry of options around on a topic like this, because the workforce is very differentiated. Workforce is across geos. So the choices play a very big role. The options play a very big role. It could be a tiered model or any other, but this is one. Third, from top down, we've started moving to field. In fact, data says it increases engagement by 3%, retention by another 2 or 3%. So the whole peer respect and feedback and recognition here is huge. And we see that with internal customers, with teams, colleagues, and it's a huge aha when it comes to something around this framework. Experiential rewards, that's the other trend that we're seeing. More, experience than just money or things like that. So the experiential part is something that has been huge that we've tried to do inside and good feedback. The new currency seems to be the social recognition of how people are recognized socially. This has again come as a feedback from many quarters and something that we are deep diving on. So these are some of the things that I've seen. Some other thing that I want to talk about would be recognition for non-work related stuff. For example, if you want to push for like a health program or contributions in the social space, because work and life is completely integrated and not really two separate things, recognition and reward around some of the non-work related aspects has been a huge engagement factor in the overall scheme. And the old adage says the reward for good work is more work. So the opportunities part of it is also instrumental in creating some of this. So these are some of the things that we are seeing both inside and outside. A specific example that I want to give from an internal point of view, we started a crowdsourcing um, idea generation initiative a few years ago, where on business and strategy, and employees came back with ideas. We worked with them to develop those ideas, mentored them, and possibly took some of them to the market. It was huge recognition in itself, simply because the idea generator and the organization worked together to make it work. One, two, the rewards were exponential, simply because if the idea worked, then it was pretty much win-win for everyone. So these are multiple facets of this whole trends that we are seeing, but all in all, a very critical part of existence of organizations. Thanks, Imtiaz.
Thanks, Najapar. Very insightful there, and specifically, I do really echo your thoughts around the personalization and the social recognition part. Humans, after all, are social beings, and it's more about how they are recognized and then what is recognized. So thanks for that. So would want to understand on what do employees want. Like, how do you identify what do employees want, and what keeps them motivated? Like, everybody has a different motivating or motivator factor. How do you go about identifying those, and what are some of the learnings from your organization?
So this is a question I'd like to pass if I had an option. That I don't know the answer, and if anyone knew the answer, I would want to talk to them.
Absolutely.
This is like world peace.
Yes, that's true.
It's absolute pursuit of getting to something like this, and then the journey itself is fascinating.
Yeah.
Again, I'm reminded of Maslow, who said that if to know what one really wants is itself a psychological advantage. And I know not just employees, all of us also need to figure what we want.
Exactly.
Having said that, definitely recognition is a big dominant force when we receive feedback from employees, and we do a lot of iterations and keep in constant touch with our employees on these things that are happening. So recognition comes out as pretty much the dominant force in what employees want, and there's no two ways about it. And we have to make it work in more ways than one. And there are multiple facets to it. There are different kinds of folks, and we spoke about it. But there are a few elements that we think, and I'll just talk about it. Some of it works for everyone, and some may not. The first one is creating a culture of recognition. So this is something that is continuous. We have to work on this on various aspects. Second, employees have to see this every single day. Only then a culture is formed. They have to see this around both digitally or physically exhibit, and then is when we can create a culture. And fundamental to this is really creating a culture of recognition. Two, phenomenal leadership sponsorship. Leadership has to invest time more than anything else, and it has given us exponential returns when leadership spends time. Sponsorship is one part of it, which is fine. The second is time, and this is integral to how people view this as something that they want to look forward to. Third is how do we make it holistic? We have to have employee at the center of it. In addition to that, we've dabbled with having the employees' entire ecosystem, which could mean the team. We could include customers, we include family. So the rewards and recognition framework is also holistic, and that kind of makes more dents than just making it once in a while upon time. The fourth one possibly is around how do you celebrate smaller wins. This is actually research, and I was part of some kind of work with Stanford. And one of the things they focus on is how do you celebrate smaller wins, and which is integral to your larger win or to the goal. It's like a test match, and people who follow test match, it's about playing each segment of an innings, and not really one innings of the whole test match. I mean, each day has 3 sessions, and you have to win each session and play each session to kind of win it. So if you do that, a culmination of that will eventually lead to a test match, if you ask me. So it is very important to celebrate smaller wins, and if you do some of that, it will kind of, you know, culminate into a larger win, and possibly even a culture of recognition. The last one, and because the user is the center, is the behavior part of it. Because a lot of recognition reward is also based on is behavior centric. There's a lot of pride associated with what there's affiliation involved. So sometimes when rewards and recognition reward are designed, some of these softer aspects are completely missed out. And those are the big wins for a recognition framework. And these are the things that needs to be kind of put together for to make this work in an organization. We did something very different to enhance our engagement program. We called it a grassroots innovation framework, where employees would work on their innovate in their everyday work. While we did that, 3 things emerged, and we saw that as a huge framework of engagement and recognition. It brought in autonomy of employees. They could work on things that they liked. It brought in a sense of mastery, which means people kind of got better at what they wanted, and a sense of purpose. And they could showcase the work to the rest of the organization. So some of this actually brought in a culture of recognition and framework around purpose. So all of this was interconnected in some way. And that's why I said that your recognition framework or reward framework cannot be in isolation to just a design, but it has to be talking to many other things in the organization. And when you do that, things will emerge much, much better. Having said that, yes, I want to actually pick your brains. You've been exposed to many of these things across organizations when you talk to various leaders and HR folks in other organizations. What have you seen as fundamentals of rewards framework in other companies? What do you think, and what in your experience has been most effective? Because what we are seeing is mostly inside out, but you possibly could give us an outside-in view and across possibly organizations. So
absolutely. Sure. So I think, yes, we do now deal with almost like 2,000 odd corporates in India. And employee rewards and recognition is one of the biggest use case. We try to talk to the HR folks in these corporates. And what is very heartening to see is every HR teams and all of the corporates are very much progressive and very much aware of the needs in terms of recognition. And all of them have been experimenting a lot of programs. For some, like it's not a typical spot rewards anymore or a typical annual gift of 5,000 rupees anymore, right? So most of them, to your earlier points around like social recognition, they're focusing on how versus what, right? So while like a gift card or a product could be the what of it as an instrument of what you want to recognize with, but the most of the focus is on how they do it or how they want to do it. And just to give you one example, like we internally at Amazon also did a quick survey. And me being part of the team of a sales team, I get to see some of the survey results. One of the specific question was, how do you want to be recognized, right? And there were like 5 options, and the most of them answered that they would want to be recognized in front of like a group or in front of a people. Like while they appreciated their manager recognizing on a one-on-one forum, but like an email being sent out for a good work being done, I think that's one very key thing on how you go about doing it. So just picking some signals from there Now, there are many corporates who are looking at like a social portal or an internal portal where I could, if I am giving an accolade to another person, then that particular group knows that, okay, Imtiaz has given an accolade to his colleague or his co-worker, and then you can congratulate, others can come and congratulate them on the forum. So I think, as I was just saying, that I think being like socially being recognized, I think that's one of the key factors which is emerging as one of the learning from all the corporates. While some of the corporates have also got into some sort of a gamification of engagements, like this is more around engagement as well as rewards and recognition. So there are portals which have come up, there are new startups which have come up on how can you gamify the engagement from from an employee perspective. So it could be that, okay, I did my first sales win or for the month, right? And then you gamify that and ensure that is being recognized by through some points which can be redeemable later for whatever they want. So I think gamification and social platforms have been the new emerging trends, and most of the HRs folklore whom I've spoken to really see a lot of engagement and improvement in overall motivation and overall morale of the team through these new experiments. So yeah, so these are a couple of things that I've come across.
Thanks, Imtiaz. I think some of it resonates with us, but yeah, thanks.
Yeah, that's right. So going from here, Nanjana, so what are your thoughts on some of the programs, like from especially from rewards and recognition perspective? Like, what are some of the key things that you as a decision maker look for when you have to choose what instrument you want to give away, like in terms of a gift, right, or in terms of that reward? While you spoke about a lot about how you want to do it, we both spoke about how we want to do it, but let's say when it comes to what is that ultimately want to give to the employee so that they feel, yeah, they are really appreciated for what they've done. So what are some of the decision factors that you keep in mind when you choose a reward?
Sure. So again, one of the things I'm reminded of is when people are financially invested, they want a return. But when people are emotionally invested, they want to contribute. So we want, for the longest time, we've been doing it in a way that's reasonable to most folks, but we wanted to flip that direction in some way. But customization has been at the center of some of the things that we're doing. Of course, time was integral of how quickly and how we do this and delivery. Customization simply because we have different segments of population. It could be new giants, it could be people straight from college, it could be folks who are looking for loyalty-based programs, stock options. It could be people from different geographies, and again, within geographies, we kind of tweaked our whole rewards framework around it. Again, the US is very different from China to say Puerto Rico, so there we tried to make it a little more local. So customization has definitely been at the center of this, number one. Number two, we moved from a point in time framework to a continuous. So today we have something that's yearly, that's something that's quarterly, there's something that's on a milestone, there's something that's daily, and things like that. Because we wanted, like I said in the beginning of my conversation, it was important to have a sense of options because people that we can choose from. So we also did something on the demand side where employees could pick things from. The second, of course, like I said, was the experience part. We dabbled with that, where we wanted to give employees experiences which they could kind of tick off their bucket list, which is very, very important to them. Again, this depends on which part of the life they are in. I mean, the early part, they're not really okay, but this was something possibly mid-level. So these are some of the things. But some of the other key elements are one, we looked at continuous feedback, keeping the user at the center because things change very, very quickly. And we often kind of try to change the construct of the framework. And that's why there's a continuous feedback. Two, we've largely decentralized. We have a common theme, but mostly we've tried to decentralize it because there's local empowerment on some of these things, and we get closer to the last mile. So the distance between the decision maker to the end user is minimal. And that kind of helps the whole framework as well. And there's more buy-in than having a very centralized systems being very large. The other thing is technology. We've been able to use technology to a large extent, whether it's gamification, whether it's any other platform, social recognition. Technology has played a very big role and has brought the entire organization closer. And with technology, we've been able to drive a lot of behavior like collaboration and things like that, which is again been a big part of the acquisition framework. The last one is of course the tangibles versus intangibles. Again, very very important. Of the we've always heavily dependent on the tangibles part, but we're slowly moving to the intangible part. I'll give you an example. We have culture catalysts identified in the organization for the things that they do in the organization. It's very important for the to kind of leverage their expertise in the organization, but also recognize their contributions. While we do many other things from a contribution point of view, one of the things we try to do is give them better everyday experience in the organization. For example, if the SLA for a particular activity for a normal person is 3 days or 72 hours, then if you're a culture catalyst, because of your contribution, you could possibly get it in 24 hours. This is an example of how, because of your contributions, your experience on an everyday basis is better in an organization. You know, in some sense, this is recognition. This is reward for your contribution. So this is something that we've started lately, and good feedback because you're still special. You're treated special in the way that you're getting something. Maybe it's like a green channel versus red channel or something like that. Where you're getting something faster simply because of your contribution. So these are some things that we've dabbled with to good effect.
That's very interesting. Yeah, I think like there are like a lot of incentives that way. Probably like one of the things I could also talk about on a similar lines is that there while there are some monetary benefits for some of the rewards programs, but some of the non-monetary benefit or the way you spoke about was like for one of the competition we had, and again this is a sales competition, and the top salesperson for the year would get to shadow the VP of Amazon for a day, right? And that was like a real good incentive for that person rather than like getting probably like a 10,000 rupee worth gift card or a product. And I think identifying some of those elements within the corporate, and probably being sitting or giving them an opportunity to be part of like a leadership review meeting. I think those are things like the employees really value a lot. I think that's a very key point, Nanjapa. Thanks for that.
No, absolutely. In fact, we've even done um, one step higher in the sense that some of these contributors have access to the strategy meet of the
Yeah,
organization. Usually, the strategy meet is very specific to just the leadership of the organization, but because of the
exactly.
contribution, we've kind of opened it up. Very few key people have been identified. We've also tried the whole apprentice model where key people have been identified for being an apprentice for the leadership, a few key leaders, and then they get the exposure and things like that. Yeah, and these are huge compared to many of the tangibles that one can provide. So we've seen again it's only to a small section of people compared to this. So that's why the tiered model comes into play. But having said that, you are exposed to many of these, and Amazon has been a pioneer in terms of the gift cards, and people are using some of those to good effect. So, what can you quickly tell us about the solution around the what is that you have? What are the types of solutions that you have, and what's the impact that you're seeing?
Absolutely. So I would probably take you through, like, you and the audience through a couple of slides so that I'm able to, like, visually communicate better. So let me quickly share my screen here. Just give me a second. Okay. Is everyone able to see the screen? Are you able to see the screen, Nanjapa?
Uh, yes, we can see the slides.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. So yeah, so we've launched Amazon gift cards is basically like using Amazon gift card. I can buy anything on Amazon, and this was launched when Amazon launched in India. But gift card for businesses, we saw there are key requirements for businesses or corporates in India in employee rewards and recognition area, and how we could define or how we could develop some solutions around it. So what we started to do is we were into the business for almost a year and a half, and then we wanted to know, okay, how is this doing? So we did a survey along with Nielsen, and what we got to know is that 86% of users voted like higher satisfaction with Amazon Pay gift cards over bank cards or cash, and 79% preferred to receive Amazon Pay gift cards again in the future. So these two things were like very encouraging for us to see how we could develop the solution. How can we better the solution around the Amazon gift cards, and similarly, we also did a survey from the corporate decision makers as well. Like, we also wanted to identify what are the key things that the corporate decision maker who is defining what gift to give, what is the most important thing for them. And 90% of them said the ease of redemption for their employees is very crucial. Like, whatever they are giving away, the employee has to should be able to like redeem it in a very easy and a non-restrictive fashion, and a quick, and gifting typically or generally even personally, it's a last minute decision, whether if you're going for a marriage or whether it's your friend's birthday. So we see a similar urgency even from the corporate decision makers, that they have a program tomorrow and they need the gift cards to be delivered to them tomorrow. So 71% of them said like quick turnaround and faster delivery. So what then we did is then we came up with few options on how we can do the delivery of gift cards. So we have email delivery, we have physical gift cards, we have SMS delivery and activation, and a scheduled delivery. So these kind of answered some of the faster turnaround and delivery options for the corporates. And specifically, scheduled delivery was very well accepted among corporates, because here you could now schedule the many corporates give away gift cards for work anniversaries and birthdays. And here in the beginning of the year, you could schedule the delivery, and then you don't have to really worry about, okay, I have to like remember the person's birthday every time. So some of these options are like very well accepted. Another thing what we did, or learning from the ease of redemption and selection point of view, is apart from the gift card being used on Amazon.in, which has like 15 crore products, now this gift cards can also be converted to other 125 brands of gift cards, including Clear Trip, Shop a Stop, Book My Show, etc. Now, like, there are corporates, like to your point, you said some of the corporates wants to give like an experience, right? While I cannot buy an experience on Amazon, but I can go buy a Book My Show or a Make My Trip voucher on Amazon, and then I can convert my gift card to these vouchers. Recently, we also launched Amazon Pay. Now, the gift card will also be accepted on all the online portals wherever Amazon Pay is accepted. For example, now we are integrated with about 100 plus online merchants like Fresh Menu, Book My Show, etc. So the gift card is also now accepted on all these sites. So we wanted to ensure that we are not only restricted to Amazon, and give an instrument which typically enables the employees to use it anywhere and everywhere. And we also launch recharges and bill payments on Amazon. So even if they just want to just recharge their phone or pay any bills, they could do that. Just to go through like some of the testimonials that we've received. These are some of our top customers that we work with, and where we power their employee rewards program. And yeah, so we've had customers talking about like how it has increased. The employees have spoken about like how they really like the Amazon gift card when they gave them gift cards during last Diwali. So yeah, so that's basically like to answer your question, Nanjapa, now around how gift card has been integral for a rewards and recognition program is by ensuring corporates have a better, easier, and faster way to deliver the gifts to the employees, and the employee has access to whatever they want to do with that gift card. So, and earlier we would see that a lot of corporates used to give products to employees. So it could be like a Bluetooth headset and things like that. While some of them really love it, but most of them it would be just like another Bluetooth headset, and most probably like not their preferred brand. So instead of forcing something down the employees, like giving them the true choice is, I think, the reason why gift cards has really taken up very well in the rewards and recognition programs. So yeah, so that's about it, Najib.
That's very informative. Yes, thanks so much for
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Some of us have had good experiences around it. So
I'm sure. Sorry. Okay, I think I've stopped sharing my screen now, right? So okay, all right.
So we have started getting some questions. So with your permission, let's take a few questions from our audience.
sure, let's do it.
So Neha is asking, how exactly would you define gamification of reward platform? Any examples? I think MTR, this question is for you.
Sure. So we work with many partners and these are some of the loyalty program solution providers in the industry. So I could talk about companies like Gift XOXO. So they have like a very good platform on. It's like a mini Facebook for like a internal corporate, right? So you have people talking about, okay, you want to make a quick lunch plan, then you just put a post around like a lunch plan, and then people can just collaborate for a lunch, or you have a quick help that you need on a particular aspect, and then the managers have like some points to give away for each like activity they do and things like that, and those points can then be redeemed for like an Amazon gift card or like any other product and etc. So we work with many loyalty solution providers like these, and yeah, so for the points and the brownie points, what I get using that gamification, I can then go ahead and redeem it for whatever I want.
So we have a question by Mahendra. He is asking, how about utilizing rewards and recognition to trigger someone to take on a really bigger challenge, not only to motivate to do regular milestones?
Yeah, I think we spoke about this absolutely.
Yeah.
The reward for good work, I said, is more work. So folks definitely see opportunity as a big recognition of the contributions that they've made. And whether it's a strategic opportunity, exposure to leadership, or even an overseas assignment or a new skill. In fact, one of the things that we are hearing from users is that, how do I get an opportunity to learn a new skill? Because the learnability, the learning quotient aspects are pretty much going to take you far and wide. And how does someone get enabled with some of those things? So absolutely, all of this is coming in, like I said, in different forms, like a new skill, opportunity to work with leadership, even a new opportunity or any other. And intangibles are really possibly a lot more impactful than the tangibles. So the answer is yes, and in multiple forms and shapes.
Sure, sure. So we have a question by Nandini. She is asking, what about the taxability on gift cards? Are the denominations fixed? What are the charges for issuing the gift cards?
Okay, yeah. So we keep getting that. So from a taxability perspective, an employer can give their employee about 5,000 rupees worth of gift cards every year, which is completely tax free, right? Anything over and above, so the employee then have to declare that they have got, okay, over and above 5,000 rupees. So it is not the liability of the corporate, but the employee have to disclose that. But again, like before making any decisions around it, it's better the corporate consults with their tax team to get more clarity around it. But one thing which is very straightforward is employers can give about 5,000 rupees of gift cards, which is completely tax free as per the IT norms. From a denomination, so the second question, the denominations are not fixed. You can choose any denomination that you want, if it's a physical gift card or whether if it's an email gift card. The denominations can vary as per your requirement. And coming to the charges, basically there are no charges to issue a gift card. If it is a physical card, there are certain charges for the physical box, but we usually waive that off for like a large corporate order. And if the order value goes above a certain threshold, there are some discounts as well that we offer the corporate as a benefit. So it is not like we don't charge, we basically subsidize some of the charges actually.
Sure. I hope that answers your question, Nandini. The next question is more about the reward system. So, if I have to say, a strategic reward system basically address four primary areas: compensation, benefits, recognition, and appreciation. So, however, the major problem when we go through all the research papers and speak with other rewards and recognition leaders, they say that the major problem with reward system is that businesses today is that either they are missing one or more of these elements, especially recognition or appreciation in that system. And the second problem they are facing is that elements that address aren't properly aligned with the company's other strategy or plans. So how do we make sure our rewards and recognition system addresses appreciation and recognition as well as they are aligned with companies' strategic goals?
Very tough question, but it's in my mind, it's work in progress. Most of this is evolving. Organizations try something out, focus on the design part of it, fail on the execution. Sometimes do execution very well, but fail on the design. Sometimes it's not holistic and all of that. But and of course, given the changing context, some of these things also play a role. But two or three things which possibly could make this, and in the beginning I said that it has to be aligned to the vision and the value system, which should essentially get you the desired behavior. One for sure is, how do you create a culture of recognition and appreciation? It's a very hard thing, but that is something that is ongoing. People have to feel appreciated. I know Gallup talks about the 7-day model and all of that, but this is something that people have to experience on an everyday basis. So the focus of creating a culture becomes very important. And how do you do it? One definitely has to be, like I said, the leadership part of it. Leadership has to support this completely and has to invest time. And when you see your leaders invest time on appreciation and recognition, there's a lot more happening in the organization. And I've seen that in the truest form, for sure. And that makes a big difference. Other than that, the decentralized focus has helped us a lot. While we have central theme, execution locally has gotten a lot more buy-in from managers and bridging that last mile, which is in some sense help the execution part of it and people feeling very affiliated, and there's a pride. Finally, there is an association of pride, right? I mean, you have to figure a way of how you get the pride aspect out of the employees. So this is really some of the things that we have done, which has worked in our favor. But like I said again, there are times when some of this will be derailed and then you get back on track because of multiple changes that happen. It's dynamic. It is definitely work in progress. I don't know if organizations just figured this out completely. So it will be, and it will change from year to year. Some years will be better than the others, but these are some of the essentials for a good fundamental framework.
So, Imtiaz, this question is for you. So, according to your experience, what percentage of employee prefer recognition to compensation increase?
Well, I think if you ask me, I mean, I don't have statistics around that, but if you ask me, I would definitely go for a compensation increase. But yeah, I think uh, at, so let me probably talk about the corporate what I work for, right? So uh, there is a impact on your compensation based on your performance throughout, right? So, and I'm sure like most of the corporates do operate in the same way, and these are so like what Nanjap also spoke about. It could be like your stock options, or it could be your true increase in your compensation, etc., right? So companies usually do bake in the performance in terms of the compensation increase, and I think that's very like a appraisal fashion. But I think the rewards what we are specifically talking about is throughout that journey there are you have to keep the employee engaged and motivated, right? And there could be multiple triggers. It could be just making the employee feel good that okay, somebody recognized me because I completed 1 year of work anniversary, right? Or somebody recognized me because I did a quick win here or got a quick win here. So I think intervening there, that's where I think the rewards program what we are talking about comes in. But yeah, generally like overall from a performance standpoint, that definitely the compensation structures of the companies take care.
Sure, sure. So, we have a situation here.
So I want to add to that
Sure.
motivation hygiene thing. For me, the way I look at it is the hygiene part is the compensation review, the motivation part is the recognition framework. But again, depends on which part of the world that you are in. If you are someone whose compensation is something that is at a level which is comparable, then recognition becomes important. But your hygiene is not taken care from a comp point of view, then recognition becomes. I mean, then you have to deal with the hygiene stuff and then move to the other parts of it. So it also
Yeah.
depends part of the world where you are, which part of the balance that you are in.
So the next question is by Habib. And okay, we have a situation here. He's saying that we have a quarterly recognition program where employees are recognized in front of the entire organization and rewarded handsomely. But how can a reward program can be made more prestigious as the organization does not see all employees rushing to be recognized in the program?
uh, Probably Nanjapa, you want to take that or?
Go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, I think designing the recognition program is one of a key thing, right? Like if now, for example, like I have fallen in some of these pitfalls where when I had to design some recognition or incentive programs for the sales team, right? And I'm talking about sales team because I lead a sales team. some of the programs which earlier which we used to incentivize was more around the outputs of okay, how much of sales volume are you going to do, or whoever does the top 2 3 sales volume is going to get this reward. Now there what you see is then, like, okay, some couple of them have had a great half year, and we most probably those are the two guys who are going to end the year very well, right? Then what happens to the rest of the folks? They know, okay, now this is already a bar, I'm sure I cannot meet that how much ever effort I put in the second quarter or the in the third quarter or the fourth quarter. So then you see, okay, these two guys are like really motivated, but then there are a bunch of people who are really not caring about this rewards program. That's when then we moved away from like output focus to more of an input focus. Like, okay, the output will come, but like, what are the things that you need to do to get there, right? Are you doing those in a proper manner? So it could be, just to give an example, like number of key meetings that you have done, or number of presentations that you have made, just to give you some examples, right? So that is something much more controllable from an employee's perspective, and then they feel they are more inclusive in that rewards program than the other way around. So that could be some of the things that you may want to diagnose with the rewards program. That's my 2 cents, Ranjapa, like, unless you have any.
So something that we tried was more of a tiered approach where the 99-1 model, where some of the recognition framework is applicable to 90% of the population. Some of it is to the 9% of the population, and some of it possibly just to the 1% of the population. And everybody kind of, the fundamentals are clear, everyone understands how this works. The rules are out there for people to understand, and then there's a tier one. So a 99-1 has worked in some parts of our programs and initiatives or the organization. That's one example. The second thing which is more important is what kind of behavior are you eliciting with your rewards framework? It has to, while it could also be competition, the important thing is how do you enhance collaboration? In large organizations, one of the things which is instrumental for their future is about how teams and people collaborate across boundaries. And that is instrumental for success of any large team. And if and some of the values of great organizations is that if one team has done something, another team has to pick it up from where the other team left off and not reinvent the wheel and the flat tire. So it's about how do you elicit the kind of behavior that you want. So that's the second big part of making something along with making prestigious, keeping these baselines intact.
Thank you. So the other question is basically is asking about any of the R&R initiative getting failed. So simply, what are some common challenges that organizations are facing while implementing R&R initiatives?
Um, There are many, and like I said, it's important to fail to understand how to make it a success. So, in the beginning of the conversation, I spoke about do you want to also reward failure in certain circumstances, because only then will you have and it's very very important. Um, I think the distance between the user and the decision maker is possibly one of the biggest pitfalls of framework, because if the distance is too much, then the understanding of the user kind of is not as good, and by the time the execution happens, it is good intentions and well meant, but finally the proof of the pudding is in the eating. So I think that is possibly one of the bigger things that would be an issue. The second I feel is the ROI part. I'm not a big believer that everything needs to have an ROI. Some of it is more long term. How do you create a culture? And many times rewards and recognition frameworks seem to have some kind of ROI. And if you push for that, sometimes it may not give you the results that you want. You might have ticked all the boxes, but it's not something that it makes any sense to the organization. The third is how quickly you change. Um, and not make it point in time. Most of the frameworks seem very formal and point in time, and that has to fundamentally change. And if that doesn't change, the whole definition aspect goes away. So we have to make it an everyday thing more than point in time, not even quarterly. I'm not even a big fan of quarterly because how does it? I mean, it's easy for execution point of view, but eventually it has to be more real time. Everything is real time, and if you go out, step out of your organization, everything is real time in the world. Everything is real time. So why should the recognition framework be point in time? So some of those are possibly some things that don't make sense and fail.
Sure. So, Imtiaz, this question is for you. Sandesh is asking if reward instruments are restrictive to only a specific platform, or we do have any instruments or platforms that employees can use anywhere as per their choice.
Yeah, I think that's a very good question, and that's one of the things that we're trying to solve every day. So, as I said, one of the insight that we got from our survey was the gift instrument what I get should not be restrictive in nature, right? Like earlier, the Amazon gift card was only could only be used on the Amazon.in platform, while it had like 15 crore products, but still the like they were feedback on, okay, this is only restricted to like Amazon.in. And that's when we started to integrate it with Amazon Pay. So now Amazon Pay is just like another payment instrument which is accepted on like multiple online websites like Book My Show, Fresh Menu. So now we are moving away, not we are increasing the acceptance points apart from Amazon.in. Now you can use it on any online site, excuse me, which accepts Amazon Pay. And now also you can also change this. You can swap this gift card to 125 brand gift cards, like which includes Big Bazaar, Book My Show, Lifestyle, and any like other offline stores, right? So we want to truly make it like a universal acceptance instrument. The only other instrument which is universally accepted is a bank card, right? And now keeping the pros and cons, like in terms of a bank card, now issuing a bank card, it usually has to be a physical card, right? You cannot distribute like an email gift card, like how you distribute Amazon gift card. So we have restrictions in terms of delivery mechanisms. There are also restrictions on the employee has to do some bit of a KYC because it's a bank instrument. They need to provide their mobile phone, a name, and OTP has to be generated. So getting that activated takes some time as well. Plus, it does not have access to other exclusive offers, which like a brand card like an Amazon or any other e-commerce brand card would give the employees. So the next closest thing is a bank card, and those are the two things you need to weigh the pros and cons in terms of ease of delivery.
Interesting. So the next question is basically we have covered this. Atma is asking how to integrate recognition into overall total rewards of the organization.
I think Nanjapa has answered this, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we've I think covered it. So you want to move to another one, maybe in the interest of time. I think
Yeah.
Okay, sure. So I think we'll be taking the last question now due to paucity of time. Uh, so there is this question because most of the rewards and recognition are outcome driven. Now, if organization have to drive a certain desired behavior among employees, how we can, organization can leverage rewards and recognition there?
So a couple of things. One, we have to make sure that the work that people do is at the center of this, so, which is at the heart of this. So the whole framework has to be centered around contribution and work, because work is really the purpose of and the reason why people come to work to workplaces, and that's why that's very important. One, two, the user at the center of this. I think it's fundamental and instrumental to the success of a framework, which will be more long lasting than anything else. So these are the two things in my mind to make a big difference.
Sure. Thank you. So, with these question and answer session, we are going to wrap up today's webcast. We have many more questions coming in, which I would request our speakers to take offline. Once again, we thank you today's webcast partner, Amazon Pay Gift Cards, and our speakers, Nanjapa and Imtiaz, for this webcast and their invaluable information that they have shared with us today. Meanwhile, to our audience, you can provide your feedback in the survey link provided in the chat section because your input matters. Stay tuned for many more such exciting sessions. That concludes today's webcast. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you so
Thank
much for
you
the
very
opportunity.
much. Thank you so much, everyone.
Bye.